So we're getting to the thick of this conversation, and I really like that more and more I get the opportunity to make more and more videos on the subject matter. Whether or not the so-called PlayStation fanboys are convinced is not my goal, actually. I'm not interested in convincing anybody. The truth is the truth. Whether or not you want to be convinced about the truth is your own responsibility. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue to pretty much speak what is true and what reality is, especially about MLB The Show and Lego Horizon Adventures, because again, like I said, it's a win-win. It's a win for the truth going out there. It's also a win for the fact that the reality will also go ahead and set in. So with this in mind, I have to come over and say, I got another comment. Y'all remember that I made this video yesterday where we talked about MLB The Show. We talked about, some really interesting pieces of the puzzle. And I got two comments. One of them I responded to in the video. And an audience member said MLB is a license. MLB threatened to take the license away. Blah, blah, blah. This is the reason why you have the game on the Xbox, platform. Of which I couldn't be bothered if the president of the United States wanted to take the MLB license away. Just the fact that it's already on Xbox and Nintendo means that PlayStation was willing to take a first-party game of its into another ecosystem. So I haven't made those videos. I got another comment. If you see it here at Mr. Morton 123, they said, "You're just lying or don't truly understand how licensed IP works. I think you're just lying for clicks though." And I'm like, okay, that is in my opinion anyways, an interesting accusation that I'm lying for clicks because I don't understand how licensed IP works. Let's go ahead and resolve that in the first 2 minutes of this video. So, quiz for all of you. When PlayStation goes into its books, because that's where the real deal is, and is categorizing how many units of software it's sold, which are first party, versus how many units of third party that is sold, where would we categorize a game like Marvel Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, and Marvel Spider-Man 2 in? First party, right? Even though all three games are licensed IP. In the same vein, where are we going to categorize all MLB The Show title sales, wherever they may have been, be it Nintendo Switch, be it Xbox, or be it PlayStation? What category are we going to put them all in? First party category. That's the end. I already beat you in the argument, but I'm happy to make 50 more videos about it. And it's not like I'm, here to gloat that I beat you. I didn't need to do anything to beat you in the argument. All I needed to do was cite what is true and also help you realize that what you're calling licensed IP is not something that PlayStation is new to. One of PlayStation's highest selling games is a licensed IP. Oh, wait, you didn't know that PlayStation does not own the video game license of Spider-Man? No, they only own the cinema license in terms of the movies and a few other aspects to it. Not really too sure about all those details, but as for the games, they have to actually basically lean on Marvel to ensure that that is the case. And so you saying that I don't understand how licensed IP works is you just trying to deflect from what the truth is. Calling me a liar, not being able to go ahead and tell me exactly what you mean or point out where the first party versus the third party line is drawn is pretty much you trying to deflect. Mr. Morton, shout out to you. I know that that is your YouTube name. Thank you very much for the comment, but I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, in this area, right, of this whole conversation, what is wrong with us telling the truth? Nothing. I think what's wrong here is a lot of you swore that you would never see a PlayStation game on Xbox. And then all of a sudden, you now have an entire series on Xbox. And I'm also going to be able to say, okay, maybe some people might say, well, if they didn't, go with MLB's terms, which was to put the game on Game Pass, by the way, I hope y'all know. Because if we go back and look at every article that we can find, every article that I see is that MLB wanted the game on Game Pass. There is no article that I'm seeing that says MLB wanted the game on Xbox. That would have had to be something that they would basically have to work with for PlayStation. And if you say I don't know how licensing works, then let me go ahead and see if we can actually point your attention to the fact that EA has multiple game licenses. They are the company to pretty much show you exactly how to do it. I guess if MLB did not want to give a license, perhaps PlayStation could have gotten an NCAA license or an NCAA license, right? So that they could maintain exclusivity. Because EA has the NCAA for the college football. They have the NFL license for Madden, or I guess the Madden, brand basically carries that NFL license to be able to make those games, right? So there were options for PlayStation to be able to go ahead and make another game and tell MLB to go pound sand that they're the market leader. The reality is, if San Diego Studios did not port that game to Xbox and Nintendo Switch, and possibly maybe looking at what it would look like to make a PC port, they would have closed studios. They would have fired those developers. How do I know? Well, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. Relax, okay? You can't. You said let's talk, right? Let's talk. When we look at the leaks from Insomniac, we see something very interesting. Around that time, after Sony had gone ahead to launch its, or at least in that area trying to launch its Spider-Man game, or after having done that or before it did that, we got to see reports, and Wesley Yinpool out of IGN writes this. We also have Gabriel Machado, Pureza, I think that's how you say it, also writing for Game Rant that around that time, Insomniac leaks showed that Sony pressured its studios into laying off employees. We also see the same at IGN. I saw another Xbox fan of ours on the community who was saying, well, even if you have these games, PlayStation has still not bothered to bring, any more games to Xbox. To that I say they'll fire developers to actually make up the cost and the expense. Why? Because we've seen them actually push to do it. In fact, you know what's crazy, ladies and gentlemen? Around that time, Insomniac came up with this statement saying, we feel for our colleagues that have been affected by these layoffs, blah, 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 blah. Not realizing that we were going to eventually see what was truly going down because the staff cuts were made amid big development costs. So let PlayStation continue to maybe give you, a picturesque version of what's going on, and you keep believing it, and let the adults actually have a conversation. I think that's basically how it's going to have to go. Because again, this kiddie play that y'all been doing with video games industry while developers are basically sitting hungry, even in some cases when a game is successful, by the way, right? Cue in Marvel Rivals, where they just basically laid off their support team in the United States. NetEase is like, we're done with y'all, even in the face of success. So keep thinking that exclusivity actually has something viable to offer. Because to be very honest, ladies and gentlemen, we've already seen it basically fissure. So those of you who are on the Xbox side who are saying, well, PlayStation is not bringing its games, so they must be doing something right. Nah, they're literally laying off staff left and right, closing studios, and will do so if expedient to get the job done for their profit and bottom line. Don't be fooled. However, if their games were to sell, then those studios and those teams will maintain their jobs to continue to make more money. Why did Yoshida say, if you guys want more of these single-player games, buy remasters, buy your PC versions? It's because those games need sales for the developers to stay in business. San Diego Studios, a long-time studio of PlayStation, a competent studio that has an annual release, is a viable studio. No need to let that studio go through any hardship. PlayStation had to concede to the market. No doubt about that. That's what's going on. Had they decided they were going to keep paying that 30%, or, I said 30%, that licensing fee to MLB with the dwindling sales of the franchise and seeing other franchises make money and didn't want to port it to other places where gamers would potentially play the game, they would have basically had to, choose. Should we go make another less, possibly less popular baseball franchise game, right? And then deal with the market forces of that, or do we just basically succumb and continue to make money? And I think they're still leaving money on the table, not doing the PC version of the game, to be very honest, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's the next, step in this whole conversation, because they really need to get after it. They're wasting a lot of time. A PC version, man, a few million copies at least added to, what it is that they already have. Quite amazing, and all that stuff. And, for somebody to come in with such a statement about me, you got to understand that I stopped playing, sports games a while ago. I've been playing them for a very long time. This is my Pro Evolution 2020 version. I'm doing coach mode so that I can record over sports footage. So I can tell you, oh my gosh, I played sports games too, whatever the heck it is. But I didn't even need to do that. All I had is my trusted neighborhood Spidey license friend to come in and show that, all of these so-called qualifiers, they really don't do anything. They really don't help. But anyways, thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to make another video. I really am blessed by the comments that we get here. Peace out.